All right, so I'm live. Let's go ahead and get this party started. All right, so I said I was going to go ahead and I was going to do the stream. I was hoping to be able to do it with OBS, but as you guys know, having some issues with OBS right now. Haven't gotten them all figured out yet. Anywho, I'll do my best using Google Hangouts. So, if you've been on my channel for a little bit, you'll know that not too long ago, I actually did some videos talking about how women lie through makeup. And, there were some people that were saying, oh, it's not really that big of a deal, and so on and so forth, saying, oh, well, it makes me look pretty and all that. That ain't how this fucking works. A lie is a lie. It doesn't matter how it makes you feel. And down in the description of this video, I actually have a link to a video from Red Pill Wisdom's channel. And he actually goes ahead and demonstrates my points pretty fucking well at this point. And I'm thinking that this is probably going to be something that's going to start coming up a little bit more often. The reason why I think it's going to start coming up a little bit more is because, well, right now, guys are kind of looking to level the playing field. I mean, let's be honest. No one likes to be lied to. I mean, honestly, it's not one of those things. But let's go ahead and be honest about this. When I'm talking about makeup and lies, I'm not talking about maybe, covering up one little blemish or something like that. I personally don't have an issue with that. What I'm talking about are these women that completely change their face with makeup. And I'm actually later on in the stream, I'm going to go ahead and screen share with you guys and show you what I mean. I have a few pictures that I pulled up. In fact, I'm just going to pull up a flat out Google image search for before and after makeup. Obviously, I'm not going to be taking into account stuff for Halloween and all that because, I mean, let's be honest. I'm not going to be bitching about Halloween makeup. But I mean, when you can go ahead and change the entire layout of your face, and then you expect the other person to be honest with you when you're not even being visually honest with them, where do you get off at that point? Like, who in their right mind thinks that you can sit there visually or verbally or in any way lie to someone outright, deceive them, and then expect them to trust you? Hey, Phosphoro, how's it going? But when I'm going ahead and I'm talking about the make-believe of makeup, what I'm talking about is when women aren't honest about the shit. Like if a woman sits there and says, no, I look this way because of my makeup, at least at that point she's being honest about it. So that's cool. I got no problems with that personally. But the thing is a lot of women don't do that. They don't bring it up. They don't, like, they'll sit there and take compliment after compliment after compliment and not sit there and go, oh, it's also having to do with makeup. They're letting people believe that they actually look that way. And that is a problem. I mean, and before, when I got into my little back and forth with Carly on it, perfect example. She's sitting there and saying that, oh, well, it's okay for women to lie at that point, but it's not okay for a guy to sit there and rent out a car and pass it off as his, so on and so forth, that's somehow different. No, it isn't. A lie is a lie is a lie. Period. End of story. If you're not telling the truth, you're telling a lie. Hey, Terror Battle, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a screen share here. I'll go ahead and do the screen share multiple times during this stream, so I can go ahead and show it to y'all. While I'm doing the screen share, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to see your guys' comments, but let's go ahead and do this. So present to everyone. All right, boom. So that's quite a bit of a difference, isn't it? Go ahead, take a look. That is a huge difference. Going from an at most a 3, and that's me being exceedingly fucking generous, and I'm having to go strictly based off of physical aspects, just off of the visual here. I don't know what type of personality this chick has. I got no fucking clue about it. But let's see now. You got that. Now look at, over on the right. Does that look like the same girl? No, it doesn't. You would not be able to link the two without already knowing how the girl on the right looks. It's just not a possibility. Let's go ahead and show another extreme. Boom. Now this one comes down to not only the makeup, but also the lighting and the camera angle, but still a deception. And her face looks very fucking different. Need I say more? I can keep going. You got this. I mean, look at this shit. Look at that. Oh, fuck no. If I thought I was going home with that and I woke up to that, do you know how fucking pissed off I would be? And then people would sit there and say, oh, you're so superficial. No. Going home with that and waking up with that, no, that ain't even remotely close to okay. Again, look at the differentials. I like these right here because it actually shows the split, which is kind of fucking cool. I actually like this because it actually shows the drastic difference. eh, and. All right. You see, the thing is like I said, covering up some blemishes, I don't got a fucking problem with. But the thing is she's not covering up a blemish or 2 or 3. She's covering up her entire face because basically this woman's face is an entire blemish. Don't get me wrong. Even with the blemishes, she has some level of attractiveness to her. But this looks very different from this. This right here shows some issues with genetics. This right here are those issues being covered up. So I'll come back to this in a little bit. So let's see now. When we go ahead and we actually are talking about lying by way of makeup, that is the type of shit that I'm talking about. Like if you got like a zit or something like that and you put a little bit of makeup on to go ahead and cover it because ew, you know, whatever. All right, fine, whatever. I don't got a problem with that. You're not changing the entire layout of your face unless that's one hell of a fucking pimple. But when it comes down to completely changing how you look and then passing that off as how you look normally, that's an issue. And Phosphoro actually brought up a good point here. Phosphoro says she got so much acne probably because she uses makeup all the time. That's another thing. Makeup is actually damaging to your skin. 9 out of 10 times, it is going to be damaging to your skin. It's not exactly the healthiest fucking thing. And that's actually a pretty astute observation there. A lot of guys don't realize that. A lot of guys, haven't been involved with makeup in any way, shape, or form, other than like for Halloween or something. But yeah, it can go ahead. It can clog your pores. It actually goes ahead and starves your skin for oxygen. It can cause a lot of issues. It can cause oil buildups and deposits inside of your pores. There's just a whole plethora of things that can go wrong because of makeup. And some of them are physical, some of them are social, and then some of them are relationship. I am separating out relationship from social, because sitting there in the whole social sphere, at that point, I'm talking more about like, going to a party, or being at work or something like that. Okay, everyone's fucking fake in those situations. Let's be fucking honest. Very few people are actually real when they're in a large group gathering. But when you're with someone that's either a potential significant other or is a significant other, and you're still being fake, there's a problem. I have female friends that ask me, oh, well, how much makeup is too much makeup? I sit there and I always say the same thing to them. And it just never fully clicks with them. I don't know if I'm not explaining it properly, but I sit there and I say, figure it this way. If you wake up with absolutely no makeup on, would he recognize you without you saying a word? Just by a initial glance, could he recognize you out of the corner of his eye? Or would he have to closely study your face or hear you talk or something? If he's not able to recognize you, then that's a fucking issue. The best argument I have actually heard against this was actually pretty good, and that actually comes down to facial hair with guys. It was actually a pretty interesting thing because they actually used my own example against me, and I got to give them props on that. Because when my daughter was a young baby, I had some facial hair on my face. Well, I ended up having to shave for work. Well, when I did that, all of a sudden my daughter wanted nothing to do with me because she did not recognize me. She thought, who the fuck are you? Who is this stranger that is trying to pick me up? Someone save me. Um, so that's kind of an argument in and of itself. But here's the thing: unless the guy is sitting there and pasting hair onto his face or wearing a fake beard or toupee or something like that, which honestly, I'm calling out guys, toupees, yeah, that is a fucking lie. Although a lot of people can tell, guys. All right, if you're wearing a toupee, a lot of people can fucking tell right off the bat that it's a toupee. Um, but women have their own versions of it. They've got wigs, they've got weaves, they have all these different fucking things to make their hair look different. But the reason why I have an issue with makeup and weaves and all that is because it is portraying you as having genetic qualities that you don't have. But the thing is, if the guy is able to naturally grow his beard, that's showing off a certain aspect of his genetics. And so I say fair game. Just like, if a woman naturally has big tits that somehow are resisting gravity a little bit more than the norm, fair game. Go for it. Show it off. I got no problems. But it's when you deceive someone, that's where the issue comes in. When you present yourself as something that you're not, when you present yourself as having something that you don't have genetically. Because let's be honest, relationships primarily are for reproduction. Women get pissed off at guys for saying, "Oh, well, I have these resources," when they don't, because in the reproductive scheme of things, guys not only have to sit there and worry about their own genetics, women aren't judging them just on their genetics, they're also judging them on their resources that they have. So that is a little bit of an issue. Whereas with women, they're just being judged on their genetics for the most part. Maybe their personality, but guys are judged on their personality as well. There's always that little bit extra that guys are being judged on, which, whatever, we can handle it. Obviously, we can. We've been handling it for a long fucking time. We wouldn't be around if guys couldn't have handled that shit. But it's an interesting it's an interesting thing where women are where it's said that it's okay for women to go ahead and completely change their face with makeup, use something like a push-up bra to make it seem like their tits aren't sagging and that their tits are actually bigger than what they are, so on and so forth. That sort of shit's perfectly okay. If you call a woman out for it, you're an asshole, you're a superficial prick, blah 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 blah. But if a guy was to sit there, stuff his fucking pants, and then also go ahead and use makeup to change his face to give himself a more masculine looking face and that sort of thing, like let's say he has more of a baby face, kind of like I do, all of a sudden the guy's shamed. Oh, guys aren't supposed to wear makeup, blah 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 blah. Huh? Guys aren't supposed to wear makeup, but it's perfectly acceptable for women to wear makeup. It's perfectly acceptable for women to deceive in that way, but it's not okay for guys to deceive in that way. Women can wear padded bras and all that sort of thing, and they're showing some level of sympathy, or they're, excuses are made. Oh, well, they just have low self-esteem. When there are plenty of guys out there that like women with smaller breasts, there's guys that like saggy breasts, there's guys that like perky breasts, there's guys that like real breasts, fake breasts, so on and so forth. Different strokes for different folks. But a lot of women want guys with a larger package. But if a guy goes ahead and stuffs his fucking pants, then he's publicly shamed for it, for doing the equivalent of what a woman did. It's almost like guys are held to a higher standard. It's almost like guys got and Ellie, I can understand that, too big hurts. I get that. But what you consider too big, another woman will consider too small. There are a lot of women out there that'll sit there and say, "Oh, I won't get with a guy that's under this size." Very rarely do they have a top end. A lot of women will get really interested with that. So that's perfectly fucking fine for them. But the thing is, women can sit there and look at a guy with a huge dick, and whether they're legitimately interested in it or not, they're perfectly fine to ogle. But if a guy ogles a woman with big tits, he's a pig, he's a pervert, he's a creep, blah 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 blah, yada yada yada. At this point, I'm sticking more on the superficial and not so much on the functional. Because the thing is, it doesn't matter if a woman has a padded bra that makes her tits look bigger, but they're actually smaller. Those tits are probably going to function just the same. Having larger tits does not necessarily mean more milk for the baby. And that's what they are functionally. But it's also the same type of thing as with a guy. A guy with a 2-inch dick can impregnate a woman just as easily as a guy with an 8-inch. It doesn't matter. What matters is the mental aspect, and there are some physical aspects with the guy's dick. Like, let's be honest. It's the same thing as with a woman, you know, a woman with a tighter birth canal. No, a bigger penis does not equal more sperm, just like larger testicles don't equal more sperm. You can have a guy with, you know, bull testicles going on, you know, where he has to fucking waddle to walk. But the thing is it doesn't mean that that guy is going to be necessarily producing more than a guy with regular size balls. And a larger dick doesn't mean more sperm. It just means more time that the sperm is traveling inside of the penis. That's it. Just means a longer urethra. And I do agree with you, Ellie. Oh, and yeah, Viagra is dishonest. I'm not going to say that it isn't. That is a chemical dishonesty. If a guy's not able to get it up on his own, then his genetics are saying he's not able to get it up on his own. The only time that I don't really see that is like if you got yourself a, let's say, a 20-year-old veteran, right? That ended up getting some injury to his groin, like a grenade going off between his legs or something like that. And it made it so without the Viagra, he's not able to get it up. His genetics would typically say, yeah, you can still get it up, but external force caused an issue there. Like, I don't have a problem with women, you know, who've got like burns on their face or something like that, using makeup to bring that portion of their face back to par with the rest of their face. I got no problems with that. But they're probably going to be honest about, hey, here's what you have going on. We've got kind of a Phantom of the Opera situation going here. But the thing is at that point, that doesn't have anything to do with genetics. That is outside forces acting on you. That is not something that has to do with your genetics. And again, Ellie, I can somewhat agree. Ellie says, and so are antidepressants. I can somewhat agree with that, but also at the same time, that's more of a quality of life thing. That's more of a quality of life thing. And the thing is with antidepressants, I mean, there can be plenty of reasons for being chemically imbalanced. They can be genetic, yes, but also maybe you know, maybe something happened. Maybe your diet said, "Oh hell no," you know, and all of a sudden you're chemically imbalanced. And let's be honest now, especially here in the U.S., people's diets aren't exactly the best. Like right here, I have a McDonald's burger. This is absolutely horrible for me. This burger can actually, if I was to sit there and eat these consistently, I would actually have a much higher chance of developing depression because of the chemicals that are in this pre-processed food. Every once in a while, it doesn't hurt, but hey. But the thing is taking those antidepressants keeps you functional in society. Makeup does not. Again, unless there was some huge external force that acted upon you. There is a difference. And maybe I should start discerning between the use of makeup and the use of fake up. Maybe I should start distinguishing between the two. Um, because as you can tell from the way that I'm talking, there are some situations where I'm like, yeah, no, it's fine to use some makeup here or there. I'm not saying that absolutely no makeup should ever be used. I'm not saying that. But also at the same time, I'm saying be honest about it. Don't sit there and pass that off as how you naturally do. Now, if someone just assumes it, all right, well that's on their aspect, and that person is actually being superficial. But if a guy comes up and says, "Wow, you're really pretty. You have absolutely perfect skin," when you really have an acne breakout, maybe be honest about it. Ellie, women have been wanting equality for so long. Ellie says some girls would be depressed if we couldn't use makeup because some aren't naturally pretty. Well, Ellie, tough fucking shit. Not all guys are naturally attractive. Not all guys are naturally strong. Not all guys naturally have a big dick. Not all guys naturally come gallons of cum. Guess what? It's your genetics. Stop lying about your genetics. Period. End of story. And the thing is if you're seriously going to get depressed because you aren't as pretty as other girls, well, then that just truly shows how weak-willed you are. Stop looking for validation from other people. Develop a personality where people will sit there and even though they're looking at you, because here's a little secret, Ellie. If you've got yourself a good personality, you will actually look more attractive to people without having to wear makeup. They will perceive you in such a positive light that they will indeed look past the whole naturally pretty or naturally ugly aspect. Just like there are some girls out there that are drop dead gorgeous, but have the ugliest personality on the planet. And then they wonder why there's guys that'll sit there and not fall into their womanly wiles. And that's with everyone. But yes, we are a superficial species. But that's because until you start talking with someone, you don't know the first thing about them. How are you supposed to judge someone based off of who they are when you've never spoken to them before? You can't. You have to look at them superficially. Try to get an idea of what to expect. So me, I could sit there, I could shave, I could go ahead, work out, get in a little bit better shape, but I don't even necessarily have to do that. I could dress nice, all that sort of thing, and people would perceive me as sophisticated or whatever, whatnot, until they hear me speak. Then that image is shattered instantly. But I'm also one of those guys that when I was dating, I actually didn't date a girl because she was pretty or not. Hey, MA, how's it going? Oh, and by the way, guys, if my voice sounds a little weird, I am sorry. I am sick right now. So there is a little bit of an issue going on with that. But I'm wanting to get to the point that if you're sitting there and thinking that the most important thing about you is looks, well, then that's just you admitting that you really don't have a strong enough personality. That you're needing the validation of others. You have no faith in yourself, in your own capabilities. And it's really easy for a woman to fall back on that because in the breeding game, It comes down to genetics for women. Women can have the nastiest disposition out there, but guys might still want a nut in them. Whereas with guys, we have to have a good personality. We have to be funny. We have to be kind. Yet we also have to be strong. We have to be stern. We have to just on and on and on. I'm not going down that path right now. Maybe I'll go down that path on another stream, but that's a stream in and of itself. But there's a saying out there, fake it until you make it. And women really are the masters of that when it comes to using makeup. Yeah, go ahead and fake that you have better genetics. Fake it until you get a guy to make the mistake of nutting inside of you and then getting locked down to you. Trap him in. That's the mentality of a lot of women. Again, hashtag not all, but there are a lot of women out there like that. And they're being out in the open about it. And they're sitting there and saying that other women should do it. Yet at the same time, if a guy's sitting there and saying, "Oh, I just want to fucking pump and dump," oh no, that's not okay. That's using women. But it's okay for women to use guys societally. It's okay for women to lie to a guy day in, day out, every time they interact. And another voice brings a good point. Then when he wakes up and looks at her, he realizes he was lied to. How about this? If we're going to sit there and we're going to pass laws where if a guy lies to a woman and she finds out about it, he can be charged with rape. How about this? If a guy wakes up in the morning and he has a picture of the chick the night before and then takes a picture of her first thing in the morning and they don't look anything the same, how about this? How about she's guilty of rape? Equality, right? She lied to him. And that's very true, MA. But I'm saying for the guys that aren't simps out there, yeah, give them the tools necessary. Because at that point, it comes down to whether or not the individual wants to utilize said tool. Turbattle says, wake up and she looks like RuPaul's Drag Race. Oh my God, yes, seriously. But that's actually another good point right there. Thank you for bringing up RuPaul's Drag Race. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Guys that are actually able to make themselves look more like women than some women are. That right there shows you the sheer level of lying that you can do using makeup. And me, I've actually gone to some legitimate drag shows before. And there were some of them you could not tell until they talked. Hell, there were some of them that you couldn't tell even when they talked because they got so good at lying by changing their voice. I do think it's a skill, but it's also a skill that needs to be made known. The lie should not extend into the real world. It's fine if you're sitting there doing it for entertainment value or something like that. That's fine. Because I mean, we got movies, we got, we got music as well. You see shit like that with voice synthesizers and shit. Um, it's the same type of thing as, if you go to a concert and the person up there starts to sing, but the music isn't synced up with what they're doing, or like the music, or like, you know, something happens where they stop singing, but the music still has them singing, and it turns out that they were just lip syncing because their voice isn't actually that good. It's actually done mostly through synthesizers and voice editing. People get pissed off about that because they now wasted their resources on a lie. Well, guys are wasting their resources on a lie. When they wake up next to Quasimodo, when they went to bed with Snow White. And I can't blame guys for getting upset about that shit. Luckily, it's never happened to me. But that's because the thing is like I said, I have a rule of before I sleep with a woman, if I'm going to be dating her and actually pursuing a relationship with her, like if I'm going to be waking up with her the next day, she shows up without makeup on. And me, I'll show up in my normal, average, everyday clothes. I won't dress up nice or anything like that. I'll come there, you know, with just my regular round the house clothes. I'll wear that shit because then we get a good idea of what to expect in the morning. No nasty surprises, no regret. Thing is a lot of women don't pass that because they refuse to go out without makeup on. And me, I tend to be an asshole at that point. I'll sit there and go, so you've been lying to me this whole fucking time. You don't want me to see the real you. Well, if you don't want me to see the real physical you, how else have you been lying to me? Hey, warrior, how's it going? But yes, using makeup to change your face is a lie. And I'll go ahead and I'll further drive the point home. Let's see now. How many of these do I actually have to show? I mean, I can do this all day, every day. I mean, you got some that are less extreme, kind of like this one. You can at least still recognize the person, but you can definitely see where genetics are being hidden. Here's an extreme version right here, people. Take a look at this. Look, this right here is bullshit. This is not okay in any way, shape, or form. This right here is a blatant and outright lie. Again, a lie right here. What the fuck? I mean, we can go on and on and on and on. There is absolutely no fucking excuse for this shit. So, And yeah, voice, that is another thing. You know, you got yourself the push-up bras, the shorts that make your butt look bigger, hips look bigger, whatever, whatnot. And again, that comes down to the same type of thing as if a guy was to stuff his pants. It's literally putting something there that is actually not part of you, and you trying to pass it off as it being part of you. One sec. Let's see. All right, here we go. There's a little bit of a difference, isn't there? Big difference. Are we seeing a pattern yet? Huh. Yeah, and high heels. Again, another thing. I can go on and on and on with this. And the thing is if men use any of the male equivalents to these things, they're shamed for it. But if you shame a woman for using it, oh, no, 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 no. That's not okay for some reason. Even though it's okay to shame men for doing the equivalent. It's a double standard. It's hypocrisy. And as I've said before, I don't stand for hypocrisy. I will call out hypocrisy wherever I fucking see it. I don't like double standards. I don't like holding people to a different standard than others based off of the condition of their birth. Whether you're born with a pussy or whether you're born with a dick has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on my level of respect for you. You know what does? It's your actions, your ability to tell the truth, your ability to be you and be unapologetically you. But you have to be honest about what you are. Oh, and another voice. There's another thing. Now, this I'm perfectly fine with, but at the same time, it still falls into the line. Me personally, I'm perfectly fine with this. But he actually brought up pubic hair has culturally been wiped out. Well, that's for women. Like pubic hair is not typically something that's sought after. I mean, there are niche people, and then there are some people that just don't care. But a lot of guys, you know, will prefer a woman without. But here's the thing: the reason why is because that gives a false feeling of neoteny. And so, of course, that's the thing. Like there's some guys that will like women that'll have very well maintained pubic hair. Where and same thing with women. Like there's women that don't like guys that'll like wax or shave They're growing, but they want the guy to trim their pubic hair, which signals in the brain, as far as the lizard part of the brain, youth. It's all like, oh, they just started there. That means they're at the beginning of their mating cycle. So, again, it is a lie, but it's a lie that pretty much that people, even across the lane, will sit there and go, yeah, this is okay. And you can sit there and argue that a little bit of hygiene's involved there and that sort of thing. You know, less pubic hair means less nastiness. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. But when it comes to makeup, it's one of those things that everyone fucking sees. Whereas the pubic hair is typically only seen in a very intimate situation. So there is a little bit of a difference. Whereas makeup's seen constantly. But I just wanted to go ahead. I wanted to get this live stream up. This one's going to be a shorter one because, like I said, guys, I'm not feeling so great. So I'm trying to get some rest, and so I can get past this and get back to my normal shit. But no, when I sit there and I talk about makeup and it being a lie, I mean it. It is. You are lying about your genetics. You're using it to attract someone that without that makeup on would probably not be naturally attracted to you. And when you try to sit there and pass that off as the real you, it literally is no different than a guy sitting there and lying about being a CEO of a company or renting out a car and then saying, yeah, I own this car, or house sitting for someone who has a nice big house and saying, yeah, this is my house, to go ahead and get lucky. There is no difference there. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If it's perfectly acceptable for women to lie to men, then it's perfectly acceptable for men to lie to women. And we shouldn't be legislating against this. Either it's okay to lie or it isn't. Make your choice. You cannot have it both ways, ladies. So either start working on your personalities, stop using so much makeup, use it only to cover temporary blemishes, or stop bitching about you falling for some guy's bullshit story and then regretting letting him stick his dick into you once you realize he doesn't have the resources that you thought you could fucking drain from him. That's the brutal and honest truth here. Stop dogging on guys for lying to get laid when you're lying to not only get laid, but to be culturally accepted, to be socially accepted, to get your promotions, and to be taken more seriously. Because if you're having to lie for those things, then you don't deserve to be taken seriously. Men have to cultivate many different skills, socially and otherwise, just to be able to get by in day-to-day life. Whereas all you have to do is look pretty, and you can't even do that of your own volition. So stop bitching about how privileged guys are, that guys get to lie to get laid, when women have been lying to get laid for a long, long time, much longer than men. Stop dogging on the dude bro culture when you're not sitting there and saying a damn thing about your bitch skank culture. Stop holding men to a higher standard, yet expect to be taken just as seriously as men. You want true equality? Start holding yourself to the same standard as men. Although, quite frankly, I don't think a whole lot of women out there could actually handle that level of scrutiny on a day to day, minute to minute, and second to second basis. And on that, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end the stream, guys. Thank you to everyone for coming and watching. Thanks for all the input, everybody. As always, I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. If you liked the stream, go ahead, hit the like button. Go ahead, feel free to share it with your friends or share it on social media. Because quite frankly, I think a message like this definitely needs to get out there. I don't think that it's said nearly enough. So have yourselves a great day. Talk to y'all later. Peace.